Good afternoon, folks. Robert Chappell, Executive Editor, Madison365, with your daily update for Monday, November 22nd. Before we get going with the COVID news, which is, I'll be honest with you, not great, we got to mention that today is Monday, which means it is Metcalf's Monday. Metcalf's is a fourth generation, family owned and operated market with stores in Madison at Hilldale and Westtown Mall, and in Wauwatosa at 68th and State. Let Metcalf's do the cooking for Thanksgiving. They've cooked up all your favorites in their kitchens. Just heat and serve. Make it easy and enjoy some time with family and friends. You can order for pickup or delivery anytime at shopmetcalfs.com, which you might want to do because the COVID situation just makes me not want to go shopping, to be honest with you. So here's what we know today. The 7-day average of new cases is over 3,100, 3,120. That was just over 3,000 on Friday. So it's up 120 over the weekend. That includes 1,674 new cases just today, which normally on a Monday they're lower than the rest of the week just because of the testing and processing that doesn't happen as much over the weekend. So that's not great. The 7-day positive test rate, this is not good, 11.2% today. I'm just looking at the last few days. The 19th was Friday. And on Friday, we reported it was 11.1%. And I jokingly said on Friday, or rather last night on the podcast for this morning, that 11.1 might get revised up to 11.5. Because what we've been seeing is these numbers are high, and then in ensuing days, the data gets updated so that previous days, actually, the positive test rate can go up or down based on new tests being processed and allocated to different days and everything. It's not meant to be deceptive. It's just the data takes some time to process. So, you get a batch of new results in that were actually processed last Thursday, and that changes the averages for that, whatever. I hope that's not too terribly confusing. So I was joking that, it's 11.1%, the way they keep revising these upward, it might be 11.5. In actuality, now they're saying Friday's 7-day positive test rate was 11.7, which is the last time it was that high was December 8th of 2020. The last time it was even 11 before last week was January 5th. So on Friday, retroactively, we now know it was the highest of the year. So that makes today's 11.2 also subject to change, right? By Wednesday or so, we might be looking back at today saying, oh, that 11.2 is actually 11.9 or something like that, which would be pretty awful. Now, what does that number signify? 11.2 by itself doesn't mean much. That just means that of all the tests that have been run in the past 7 days, which we're doing still about 30,000 tests a day, right, 11.2% of those tests were positive. That's not good. You want that number to be below 3, which it was, back in the summertime, it was below 1 in June. We got the vaccines rolled out. It was summer. Everybody's outside. The positive test rate was below 1. We thought we were done with this. Now positive test rate is back up to 11.2. Our positive test rate peaked on November 12th of 2020 at 17.5. I don't know if we're going to get that high again or not. We will have to wait and see. Now, hospitalizations are also up today. Well, actually, that's not true. They're up from yesterday, but they're lower than Friday. Friday was 1,242. Today it is 1,229. Yesterday it was 1,205. So it did dip considerably over the weekend and is now bounced back up a little bit. That's still 102 more than a week ago. It's still, about an 8% increase in the past 7 days in hospitalizations. 344 of those folks are in the ICU. That's 21 more than yesterday. That's like a 7 or 8% increase just in the past day. 29 more than a week ago. The one piece of news that's not as terrible is that the new deaths reported per day is still at 14. Right, that could have been a lot higher by now. If you consider that the death average of reported deaths, these are deaths that are reported on this day, not that happened on this day, right? So that's like a 4 to 6 week delay. Cases go up 4 to 6 to 8 weeks later, deaths go up. So it takes that long for the data to be processed. So you look back 6 weeks or so to September, early October, we were doing 2,100, 2,000 cases per day, 2,500, 2,200, 2,300. 1% of that would be about 20 deaths per day, 20 to 25 deaths per day. Last year, 2020, our infection fatality rate was about 1%. And you could really map it on the data in 2020 that if you have 5,000 new cases in one day, you'd have 50 deaths reported 2 months later. We're not seeing that this time. If you look at that measure, the death average is slightly lower than you would have expected, which is decent news. There's several different possible explanations for that. Maybe it might just be a data thing. Like maybe there just as many people are dying, we're just not getting reported as quickly because we don't have as much staff or federal money to do that testing, to do that reporting. Or it could be even better news than that, in that the people who are getting infected, some small number of people who are infected are vaccinated, right? So that's a relatively small number, but still you can basically take those out of the people who are at risk of dying. And then probably some of these folks, kids are back in school. So some other small number of these cases are kids who are much less likely to die. And just generally speaking, younger people. So there's a number of explanations that could be keeping the death rate down. The fact, whatever the explanation is, we'll take it, right? Now, we're now in this 3,000 range. So I would expect that death rate to continue to rise. You'd expect it to get into the 30s based on the 1% rate, by early January. But given what we're seeing now, I wouldn't expect that. I expect it to be in the 20s by January. Still kind of high. Just for some context, the number one cause of death in the state of Wisconsin is heart disease. It has been for many, many years. That, on average, year-round, 31 deaths per day from heart disease. Right? So right now, we're well below that in terms of COVID. We're about half of that. A lot of time last year, we were above that. So that's where we are in terms of COVID numbers today. I'm live on television. Say hello to Amelia, everybody. I have a co-anchor. Yes, I do. Aaron, thank you. That's my my new reporting intern, Amelia.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me, honey. All right, we'll be back right after this. I got an update from Waukesha. Some more information from a 1:00 press conference today, as well as some other local news for you right after the break. Right after this, we'll be right back.
Bye.
Oh, where's my... Thanks. That was Amelia's second appearance on the program. Maybe a little over a year ago, she came and she appeared and asked if she could have a pickle. I remember that. It was very funny. All right. So the Waukesha Police Department had a press conference at 1 p.m. This afternoon with a little bit more information. They have a suspect in custody. The suspect was out on bail from some other criminal charges from earlier in November, as well as last summer, the summer of 2020. The Milwaukee County, these are charges from Milwaukee County. Milwaukee County District Attorney has said that the bail in those cases, which were $500 and $1,000 respectively, were inappropriately low, which I'm not sure if that's, a hindsight thing, like in retrospect. You could always say bail was too low. If somebody gets out on bail and commits another crime, you could always just say it was too low. They did say that there are, actual guidelines for what kind of bail they ask for various different kinds of charges. The most recent charges for this person were, domestic violence charges involving running over someone with a car. So the DA's guidelines would have indicated that they should have asked for a higher bail than $1,000. This person posted bail and was out. There's still very little in terms of motive. We do not know anything about why this happens, except there's some suggestion that it wasn't even a targeted thing, that he was basically fleeing another incident of some kind, of altercation or a fight or something like that he was trying to get away from, and just ended up in this parade route. We also do know that there were, among the injured, more than 40 people injured. Among the injured are 18 children ages 3 to 16, including 3 sets of siblings. And we now know the names of those who are deceased. Virginia Sorensen, 79 years old. Leanna Owen, 71 years old. Tamara Durand, 52 years old. Jane Coolidge, 52 years old. And Willem Hospel, 81 years old. And obviously, our, you can't help it but feel and offer condolences to the families of those who've died, as well as the friends and the organizations that they were there with. I know some of those killed were members of the Dancing Grannies, which is a pretty well-known organization in the Milwaukee area. Just really a joyful organization, right? Brings a lot of happiness to people, and to see that see them affected this way is really difficult. All right, a couple other things to discuss today. There is a proposal in Fitchburg brought by former Fitchburg resident Michael Johnson of the Boys and Girls Club, backed by Fitchburg Alder Joe Maldonado, to name the Fitchburg Municipal Building after Frances Huntley Cooper. You may not know who this is. If you do, you've probably been around Fitchburg for a while. She's a longtime community activist and advocate. Just one of those people who is just always, if you see there's like a board or a committee or commission or something like that, there's a reasonable chance that Frances is on it. She's just a super involved person. She's also the only Black elected mayor in the history of the state of Wisconsin, and the only Black woman ever to serve as mayor in any capacity. She was mayor of Fitchburg in 1991 to 93. She was the first Black person elected mayor. Since then, twice, Milwaukee has had a Black acting mayor, including very soon, as soon as Tom Barrett is confirmed as the ambassador to Luxembourg, Kevin Johnson will become the acting mayor of Milwaukee. But in the history of Wisconsin, only one Black person has ever been elected mayor of a city, and that's Frances Huntley Cooper. So Michael Johnson and others have proposed naming the municipal building the Frances Huntley Cooper Building. That's just a proposal right now. It was an open letter sent to the mayor, and there will be a process, obviously, but it's definitely got some backing there in Fitchburg. Finally, today, I want you to take a look at the first installment of our 5th annual Si Te Puede list, the most influential Latino leaders across Wisconsin. We have 36 of them this year. The first 8 are up today, and then we'll have 7 more people for you to get to know every day the rest of the week. We got all sorts of folks, that some of whom work, in that sort of racial justice, advocacy, activism space, but most aren't. Most are police officers, nonprofit executives, educators, CEOs, VPs. There's people working in a wide range of spaces and doing really good things. And what's remarkable is, I've been doing this for 6 years, and we do a lot of work in these communities, and we have all these people at our events and as panelists and stuff and as speakers. And I bet 80% of these folks I'd never heard of. Like, these are people who did really good work and aren't well enough known. So that's why we do these lists, is to lift them up, to amplify them, to help you get to know them. So go to Madison365.org. It's right on the front page. It'll be on the front page. It'll be the first thing posted every morning at 6 o'clock the rest of this week. So just go to Madison365.org and get to know some folks you don't know. And they're all over the state. So wherever you are, there's probably some of these folks in your neighborhood. So check that out. All right. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates for you on the COVID situation, as well as other news. We'll be back tomorrow and Wednesday. I'll most likely, unless something big happens, I'll take Thursday and Friday off this week. But until then, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you soon.
This is 365 Media.